Last year, while on vacation in the Canaries, I began writing a screenplay about a military coup in a fictionalised Arab country. The coup plotters were a disaffected crown prince linked to a privatised military organisation run by American neoconservatives. The company had won a contract to combat Al-Qaeda-linked forces in the lawless east of the country, but those resources have been redirected to internal repression. The coup took place within the context of mass democracy protests in this country. This was a work of fiction. By January 2011, the Arab Spring had begun initially in the countries of the Maghreb. Now, this was an authentic mass movement which was initially rooted in labour struggles, but very quickly facilitated through civil society, through the internet, through citizen journalism, and through the spectacular role that the new media played in these events. This built in part on the effective role that internet journalism had previously played in challenging official views of the war on terror, particularly in Iraq. The Arab Spring has been since described as a wave of democracy that has also challenged fundamentalism and was initially, if conditionally, supported by the West. Now, the limits of the kind of support which these mass movements could expect from the United States, these movements for democracy and for change, had in a way been laid out by Hillary Clinton as early as January 2010. If one deciphers what Hillary Clinton said, one can actually assume that the wave of democracy would and has been supported by the West against dictators who have lost their support base, and authentically supported, but only so long as the interests of international financial institutions like the G8 and the IMF are not directly challenged. The limits of Western support for the Maghreb democracy movement have since been revealed in Libya, where the Benghazi government still isn't recognised by the West, and where military support has been limited and very contrary, and where the freedom fighters are still denounced as Al-Qaeda linked from time to time. The limits of Western support for the democratic wave have also been exposed in Egypt, where ongoing repression by the ruling military, both of the labour movement and of bloggers, has been broadly supported by the West, even as Mubarak has gone on trial. The kind of austerity programme which is likely to now be imposed on Egypt by the G8 is very much likely to lead to more protests and repression, and this repression is likely to be justified on the pretext of a very real threat posed by Salafist Islamic fundamentalists. Now, when it comes to Syria, Western support for the democratic mass movement has been even more conditional than in Libya, and there are a number of reasons for this. In broad terms, Bashir Assad has been given free rein to bury the Arab Spring, and almost defended in doing this by Western politicians like Tony Blair. There has also been Western complicity in the crackdown on mass protests in Bahrain and also in Yemen, and this appears to be much more overt. For example, Obama and the American government have openly supported a media blackout in Bahrain. And there's still the issue, of course, of the $300 billion in military aid to Yemen under the pretext of the war on terror. This poses the question, just how deeply are Western governments and Western private security contractors involved in all of these developments?